Now to a health alert. Starting today, gluten-free labels on packaged foods have real meaning. Under new FDA labeling guidelines that take effect today, items labeled gluten-free must contain less than 20 parts per million of gluten. That will ensure that those products are technically free of wheat, rye, and barley. Under the old rule, wheat had to be labeled on food packages, but barley and rye did not. The new labeling regulations do not apply to restaurants. Sharon Fisher is a dietitian with Palm Beach Gardens Medical Center, here to weigh in on this topic. Sharon, thanks so much for joining us.
Hi, thanks.
Gluten-free is such a popular trend. Millions of dollars have been made on this. What should we take away from the new FDA guidelines today?
Well, that starting with foods that are labeled and packaged today, you can trust the term gluten-free when you see it on the label.
It's about consumer confidence, is that right?
It is, and it's about safety too for people who have celiac disease, because even just a small amount of gluten can, contribute to damage of their intestines.
And you were brought in some props here, some foods specifically that are gluten-free. So the labeling here, this is about consumer products, consumer confidence. And you were saying earlier the contamination between gluten-free products that were contaminated is the wrong word probably to use, but that were mixed with other foods on the same equipment line.
Right. So I think you're going to start seeing the gluten-free label and being able to trust it more when it appears on some of those grain products that maybe were processed on equipment that had previously processed wheat, because now it requires that those products not have more than 20 parts per million, and that was chosen by medical professionals as a safe level.
And for those that are on the gluten-free diet, such a popular trend today, what advice would you have for those?
Well, first off, you can start looking for the gluten-free label, and you'll find it on things that are naturally gluten-free, like I brought some quinoa here because quinoa doesn't have gluten. Only wheat, barley, and rye
and you
have
mentioned
gluten.
Not all foods actually are going to apply to this. It's only FDA.
This law is for foods that are regulated by the Food and Drug Administration, FDA, which is packaged goods. Things that are regulated by the USDA, such as meat and poultry and eggs that are out of the shell, those packaged ones, are not under this law, but the FDA and the USDA are probably going to eventually get together and come up with something. And the other thing that is not under this regulation is alcoholic beverages. So, you do not assume that the beer or ale labeled gluten-free is going to meet these guidelines either.
Interesting terminology, and we'll wait and see if restaurants comply as well down the line. Sharon Fisher from Palm Beach Gardens Medical Center, thanks so much for weighing in on this interesting topic.
Okay.
Appreciate that.
Thanks
Shannon,
for having me.
Thank you.
A lot of people interested.